Hello again, it's Noob, and here we have the Echelon pick set from Covert Instruments. I bought this with my own money, all thoughts of my own. It's not sponsored in any way. So, where do we start? Well, first of all, just have a look at this. I think the reason I wanted to get this kit to have a look at was because I thought, do you know what? It actually looks like a really decent starter pick set because it's got some interesting little additions and elements in it. Now I realised that Covert Instruments do the Genesis set, which has some duplicates of these picks, but all in 25 thousandths of an inch in thickness, while the duplicates here I believe are all in 20 thousandths, so that little bit slimmer, really good for tighter keyways with more warding, European style keyways if you will. Yeah, let's have a look at the hooks to begin with then. So we have 3 hooks here. We have a flat topped short hook in 20 thousandths of an inch, which is about, I'm just trying to think, it's about 0.6 millimeters, something like that. And whilst that is a little bit more flexible because it's thinner, I think that 20 thousandths of an inch is quite a nice sweet spot for picks, even for beginners if they're gentle. You have a nice medium hook here, which again 20 thousandths. In some ways, a medium hook in 20 thousandths is probably more useful than a medium hook in 25 thousandths in terms of being able to pick those higher set pins in tighter keyways. And we have what I think they call a gentle reach in 25 thousandths of an inch. You can see the difference in widths here, or thicknesses if I try to line these up. You know, only 5 thousandths of an inch is definitely noticeable by the naked eye, as you can see. The bottom one is definitely thicker than the top one. More robust, better feedback, but of course that extra thickness does mean it's a little hard to get around the tight warding. That being said, something with such a long sweeping hook is probably better off in a more wide open keyway. Anyway, onto the rakes. We have 3 standard pin tumbler rakes here, all of which are very nice. And we'll have a look at the sort of finish on these as well while we're here. So I think as a companion to the Genesis set, where these 2 rakes, the quad and the quint rake, are in 25 thousandths of an inch, you've got 20 thousandths of an inch rakes here. And really nice sort of, I guess they're laser cutting on the sandwich handles here to show what thickness they are, to signify they are different to ones in 25 thousandths. So again, that's nice. And you can have a look at the general finish here on the rakes. They're polished, but I wouldn't say over polished. They're rounded, they're very nice, very usable straight out of the pack. You should be able to fit all of your Genesis set picks in this kit as well, because it's a trifold set. There's plenty of space for those picks should you wish to use this as sort of an expansion if you're growing into the set. And then yes, we have that double peak. So you have the quad peak, the quint peak, which are found in the Genesis set as 25 thousandths, and we have this double peak here. Now, I'm a fan of the snake rake, but I actually find that the double peak rake makes a really good stand-in if you don't have a snake rake. It is all preference after all. We do have another rake in here, which is the dimple rake, and this is for low security dimple locks. Definitely not high security dimple locks, but low security dimple locks. And it's an interesting addition, I'd say. I have some comments about this for later, but it does work, and I'll show that in a minute. One thing I do like about this, and why I think it makes why this sort of makes quite a nice beginner set, even though some of the picks are a little slimmer, is that we have some tubular tools here. And this is for picking tubular locks. You can see that this is a double-sided tubular lock tensioner. I'll show this in use in a minute. And this is more of a standard width, and this is a smaller width for smaller tubular locks. You also have a pokey stick. I joke, but actually this little probe is so useful. You can make your own from snapped picks. You will snap picks. Because metal fatigues over time, especially thin metal that you use in picks. It doesn't matter what the manufacturer, it just happens, and you can make your own. But it's actually quite nice to have one made and in a kit already for you when you're just starting out. You might not have a load of broken picks that you want to make into a pro, but these are particularly good for picking tubular locks to, you know, push down on the pins, but also really good for a whole other load of uses, mostly for jiggling the side, the sliders on those dimple locks which have pins and sliders. This is actually really good for doing that. Although there aren't any dimple picks in here, so if I was just sticking to this kit, I can't really show that technique off, but there's plenty of my videos where I do. Then we have some turners. We actually have a whole load of them. We have these ergo turners, which are really good for picking in hand. They're top of the keyway turners. You pop these into the top of the keyway, and this will allow your finger to arch over the top and have a much more comfortable, more neutral tensioning position. So those are quite nice, and they're in 3 different thicknesses, and you do have some, looks like etching on here, which tells you that we have one that's very light etching. It's a little hard to read, but I'll get it in the light to see if I can get it on camera for you. You might just be able to make it out as I rotate them into the light and out of the light. But this one says 50, 40 and 32 thousandths of an inch. So you've got a really thick one, a medium-sized one and a thinner one there. Going on to the last load of bits in the actual kit itself before we look at the case, is we have a load of top of the keyway turners again. And you never have enough of these, but you can see they've got 2 different lengths. You can use these as bottom of the keyway as well in certain locks, which allow you to put that thickness of metal in. You can also put them into dimple locks as a dimple lock turner as well. So, you know, there's lots of different uses for these. And again, you have some etching on here. I don't know whether you can see, it's a very light etching. But we have a 50 thousandths, a 40 thousandths, 32 thousandths and 25 thousandths of an inch thick set of top of the keyway turners, these Z wrenches if you will. So there you go, quite a compact and concise kit full of all sorts of tools, your picks, your rakes. You even have a dimple lock rake in there. We have tubular lock picking tools in there. We've got ample top of the keyway / bottom of the keyway turners, all sorts of stuff. Now there is also an extra thing in here, which is, I'll be honest with you, not something I'm very familiar with. This is a card which is, you may have noticed in the corner of the screen, this little thing which does come with the kit. It's not something that I am particularly familiar with, but for those of you who are and love your flippers and all those kind of things, then this is a media card included in a little RFID protection wallet, I guess. And apparently you can write access card data to this media card with things like your Flipper Zero, iCopy or Proxmark. Of course, the devices are not included, as it's at pains to tell you on the Covert Instruments website. So yeah, I have quite literally no idea what to do with this, because it's not part of the hobby that I'm into, so I'm afraid I can't really review this working or not working. I don't really clone cards. I'm a lockpicker, but nevertheless it is included, so if that's your bag, here it is. Talking of bags, or at least cases, this, I like the design of this, I just do. It's in that nice nylon in a, is it khaki? Is that what we'll call it? Khaki green. And this is the Echelon trifold Garrison case, and it's just really nice. I just really like the way that it folds out into a little trifold. It's not too big. The way it all wraps around means that nothing comes out of it as well. You don't find any things flying out and getting lost. So it does hold in everything really nicely. With these ergo turners, you do have to be a bit careful. The only comfortable position I've found to put these in is either, well, in the front, something like that, so that these points stick up, so that the fold goes over them like that, and that actually fits in really nicely. Otherwise, these don't fit in particularly comfortably, but like I said, if you position them just like I did there, it's all fine. It's got lots of pockets, so now I think you could put some like wiper blade style turners in these ones here, but because they're on the hinge, I don't know if that would cause a problem in closing this. So let's just say that there are, looks like 6, 7 pockets in here, I think, which are, again, very useful. Not missing any, no, it's all good. All very useful. I like this extra little pocket here for throwing other things in. I think, let's have a look. Would this card slide in on its own? Yeah, it does. But I know that there are other like bypass cards, metal bypass cards and other things you could put into this pocket should you wish, and loads of other tools, even from other manufacturers should you want to put them in there. But yeah, it's just a nice little trifold. It's got a magnetic close on it, so it is a little quieter. You don't have that hook and eye noise that happens. The magnets do gently magnetize your steel picks, so please be careful with that and anything you don't want to be magnetized by this. But it's not really a big deal. It doesn't really bother me, but it might bother you, I don't know. And yes, that will stick to a metal surface, of course it would. You also have a area here for any patches that you might have to put on here. I'm sure Covert Instruments sells some Covert Instruments patches for you to customize this, but you know, any old patch will stick on here if it's the right size. Yeah, so overall quite nice. They do say you could fold this into like a desktop display, something like that. So I always like to do demos of the picks that I'm reviewing. So we have an American Lock 1100 series, only 5 pins in this particular one. I've got the Ergo Turner in 50 thousandths of an inch, which as you can see gives me a nice neutral position to hold the lock in hand, and a 20 thousandths of an inch medium hook, which is perfect for slipping between the warding on the lock, because it's not paracentric, but it is a little tight. The 25 thousandths of an inch hooks get a little bit sort of stuck in there, or at least they rub quite significantly in the keyway. So these 20 thousandths of an inch hooks are perfect for this type of keyway. So just going along, that's 5. Anything on 4 here, little click on 4. There we go. Oh, double click on 4, going back through. Nothing on 2 that I can feel. Anything on 1. Little click on 1 into a bit of a false set. Going back to pin 5, into a deeper false set there. Anything on 4? No, can't feel anything on 4. Anything on 3? No. Oh, little click on 3 actually. Nothing on 2. Just testing 1 again. Making sure that I don't slip out when I'm picking this. So 5 feels good. 4 feels good. 3 feels good. I feel 2 might not be all the way picked. Might have overset it, but I'll just relax the tension. 1 is giving me a bit of counter rotation, and that feels nice. Back to the back again. 5 now needs to be picked, I think, but might have overset that a little bit. Just release that tension. Oh, into a lovely false set. Nothing on 4 there. 3, 2 feels good, and 1. Oh no, we are open. I just didn't turn it enough. There we go. Look at that. Lovely. This nice, robust 25 thousandths of an inch gentle reach pick is perfect for picking master locks like this XL here. It might be, you might notice a Magnum over in the US, and yeah, just pick that open easy. It's just more feedback, a bit thicker, reaches up to get those higher pins. Very good. And while we're on the master lock, let's rake it with this double peak rake, which I can just get up onto these pins and give it a, oh, just so quick, isn't it? Raking master locks. Moving on to this very fetching Squire Cell 40, sadly no longer made. We can see a keyway which is sort of angled to the left. It's paracentric, but this 20 thousandths of an inch hook is slim enough that it can pick all the way up to the top of the keyway, which is really nice. We have a 40 thousandths of an inch Ergo Turner, which will just go down there like that. And I've got my pick, which is the 20 thousandths of an inch short hook. So let's just have a look in here. Pin 2. Oh, don't want to, using such light tension, but don't want to lose my tension tool. That's 2 going in. Pin 1 now. Again, just lifting it up. There we go, picked. 5, nothing. 4, nothing. 3, little click. 2 again, some real counter rotation on 2. Just gentle, gentle, gentle on that pin. And we are open. Yes, got it. Before the tension tool slipped out. We'll round off the standard pin tumbler demos with a federal lock picked with this 20,000th of an inch Quint Peak rake, and to mix it up a little we'll actually use a top of the keyway turner, bottom of the keyway, because it's such a big wide open keyway, so why not? And we'll just go in and give this a little rake, and hopefully, there we go, we'll get that nicely and quickly open. Now on to the Tubular Lock tension tool, and you'll see that one side is nice and big, and we'll go here and tension your tubular locks like this. And this is well, that's an American lock one, this is a Chicago Ace one, I think. There you go, so you can see that that will fit in there very nicely. I'll do a little picking demo. It's worth saying that the smaller side can be used in a lot of locks too. Obviously these are too big, but then this one is too small, because this is a very interesting sort of Spanish tubular lock, and there aren't any tools that I know of made that like tension this one. You have to make your own one, sadly. So we have a tubular lock in the vise working very nicely. We take our turning tool and our probe, stick the turning tool in the top like this, and we basically use the probe to push down on the pins in turn, looking for any binders and giving them a good old press, like 3 just there, 4 little click, nothing on 5, 6, nothing, and 7, lovely little click, felt the core move, 1, 2 now, all the way down, nothing on 3, 4, 5, nice click, anything on 6, little click on 6, nothing on 7, so back to 1, all the way down, 2, nothing, 3, 4, 5, 6, tiny click again, 7, nothing, so, oh, and 1, and we have picked it a position, as we can see. Last and by no means least, we have this dimple lock rake. Now, the one thing I find strange about this is I remember seeing a lockpicking lawyer video on this. Obviously, lockpicking lawyer has a partial stake, I believe, in Covert instruments, and I can't find the video, but it was looking at another cheap Chinese pick set which has a dimple rake very, very, very similar to this, almost exactly the same dimensions. But I believe I remember lockpicking lawyer saying that he likes to cut these down so that these are really thin, so they can go past the warding on dimple locks, so that they can get up sort of into the warding to reach those higher set pins. This isn't the case here. This is a very sort of standard dimple rake profile, and to that end it can only pick very, very, very basic dimple locks in my experience. Here is a very mid-range, completely non-exotic European style dimple lock. You can see that the keyway is full of warding, and you can see that that warding protects the key pins, and you need something which can go in and pick those pins to all the way to the bottom of the keyway. You can see that we have on here a very, very high cut and very low cut there. The difference in height on the dimples, if you like, on the pick are very, very shallow, maybe just under 1 millimeter, compared to the very, very deep cuts here on this key. And this isn't an abnormal key, this is very, very normal bitting for a moderate security dimple lock like this. Putting this in, you'll see the problem in that these dimples, even the biggest dimple, doesn't reach up into, it's very hard to focus on it, up into that warding enough to even attempt to pick some of those pins. But the difference in pin heights means that this rake would never pick this lock anyway. But that doesn't mean it doesn't work. Let me show you a couple of locks where it will work. Example 1 is a very, very cheap Chinese little cast dimple lock with a very wide open keyway and a moderately flat bitting. So let's have a go at raking this. Now, the only way I can tension this is with a bit of bent wiper blade, which isn't in this set, but it's free and you can make your own pick tool. So we're just going to try to pop this tool in and try to rake this lock, and there we go, we have the open. So like I said, in the right lock, these very low security cheap Chinese dimple locks, this tool, which like I said is very similar to the dimple rakes in a lot of the cheap Chinese sets, does work in those locks. So there we are, the Echelon pick set from Covert Instruments. Time to do some wrapping up, a few conclusions, things I like, things I didn't like, things I maybe want to change about this set. Well, let's start with all the positives, the things I really like. So for the most part, I think that the range of tools in this set are really good. In fact, so good, I would say that you could probably skip the Genesis set and go straight to this if you were a beginner. I think for the extra $20, you get a more rounded, more fleshed out beginner's pick set with a slightly nicer case. Not saying the Genesis set doesn't have a nice case, but I like the trifold on this. Yeah, it sort of appeals to me. I will come back to the good points, but the only thing that would be missing in that regard for me would be just some bottom of the keyway turners, little L wrenches, some bent wiper blades. But since you can make your own bent wiper blade turning tools for basically nothing, if you've got some spare old wiper blades, or you ask for some from a local garage or something like that, then yeah, I mean, this is quite a nice set. The finishing of the tools is really good. This is, I believe, 301 high yield stainless steel as well, so it's very durable. The finish, as I mentioned earlier, is really nice. It's a good combination of hooks. So you've got your short hooks, you've got your medium hooks, you've got a little reach hook here. So again, the 20,000ths of an inch for these two, I think it's a really good compromise. You know, they're nice thin shanked. You've got a nice short hook, you've got a nice medium hook. That's going to get you into the 80% of your standard security medium security locks, and the thinness here isn't so much that it's too flexible and robs you of all the feedback, but it also allows you to get into those more paracentric, highly warded keyways. I actually like the 20,000ths, maybe a little bit better than the 25,000ths of an inch picks from Covert Instruments. So yeah, I think those are really good. I know that beginners may be more prone to bending these picks because they're a little thinner at 20,000ths, but it is made of quite a good material, and I think that a careful beginner might actually benefit from these because of the extra flexibility they give around those more paracentric keyways. The rakes are really nice. I have no issues with these at all. The quad, the Quint, and the dual peak rakes. You know, if a lock can be raked, these are going to help you rake those locks. The probe is really good. I do like these for moving the sliders on locks which have pins and sliding slider sidebars, and it's just good for picking those tubular locks and all sorts of other reasons. So it's just nice to have in there. I've got no issues with that being in the kit whatsoever. These turning tools are really great. I like these ergo turners. They do give you a better picking position when you're picking in hand for certain, good range of thicknesses as well for all your needs. The other turners over here are really nice. It's nice they have 4, so 8 different sides, different lengths on the tips. Yeah, just really nice range of thicknesses. Again, no issues with those, super useful. And we can see that these are slightly magnetic, can't you? As I mentioned earlier, possibly from the case itself with that magnetic clasp. I don't think it bothers me one bit, but it could bother you, I don't know. And then the double-sided turning tool. It's not the first double-sided turning tool we've seen for tubular locks, but this one is only for your standard tubular locks with the tensioning slot down the center post. The double sides are always very nice to give those extra options for thicknesses, because sometimes you get a tubular lock which is just too small a diameter, and this will cover that use case. So again, just a nice tool. And you know, to have a tubular turning tool in amongst a kit which allows you to get into standard pin tumbler locks, you see a lot of tubular locks out there. It's just a nice addition, and again, even for a beginner set, tubular locks are great fun to pick. So yeah, fully endorse having that in the kit too. I think it's time to go on to things I don't like so much, and I'm going to have to mention this rake. It just seems a little incongruous in this set, I'll be honest with you. I don't know why it's included, and if it is included, I don't know why it wasn't modified to be thinner on the sides, especially because and maybe I've misremembered, but I'm sure I saw a lockpicking lawyer video where he has cut down a cheap Chinese version of one of these so that it can reach up into the warding of dimple lock keyways a little easier. But because the bumps on this are so shallow and the tip is so wide, you really are limited to what dimple locks this will work in, and the ones they will work in are very, very cheap Chinese dimple locks. I've tried it on a number of other dimple locks of like low to moderate security, and I've had no success apart from those very cheap Chinese ones. So what would I exchange this for? Just a small half diamond or a deeper hook. That would just swap this out for one of those, or, and I'm reaching here, I am, a left and right handed dimple flag, but let's not go there. I think that's asking too much. But yeah, I'll just swap this out easily for a very small half diamond, which would give you a pick which would get you into really small little keyways on some of the smaller padlocks, or failing that, a deeper hook altogether. That would be better for me, I think, in my circumstances. So that's the only thing I sort of don't really like. I think this sort of doesn't let the kit down because there's so much to like that this doesn't really let the kit down, but it's a little bit disappointing to have that in there, just because I don't feel that it sells the kit as well as all these other things. And the only other thing I haven't mentioned is RFID card thing, which again, don't know really how to use it myself, but if you do and it's nice to have as a something thrown into this kit, then great. I'm sure it will work out fantastic for you. I just can't test it myself. So what will this kit set you back? $70 US, around 55 UK pounds. Obviously it doesn't include taxes and shipping and all that kind of stuff, and that is at the time of filming. Prices change over time, exchange rates change, shipping costs change, all that kind of stuff, but you know that. Just go check out the Covert Instruments website if you're interested in this set. I will leave a link below. So yeah, overall I think it's a really solid set, a really good beginner set, I have to say. A few things I'd change, but then I would say that's about pretty much anything. I think it's a solid effort from Covert Instruments. I'd love to know what you think in the comments below. I do read all of the comments. I reply to as many as I can. If you like this video, want to see more like it, hit that like. If you haven't subscribed and would like to subscribe, it really helps my channel out, so please do that. And I'll see you all next time.